Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's the CD guy, Johnny Z here. Thank you so much for tuning back into the channel, and today, in case you can't tell, I'm going to be ranking the studio albums of Ghost, including their newest record, Skeleta, from worst to best. Before I continue here, this is a spoilers checkpoint. This video will contain spoilers from the Skeletor, so if you've not heard any of the bootlegs, you've not seen the set list yet, you've not watched Ghoulbanger's Ball, definitely watch at your own risk. Not bad for a first-time try, I guess, but I have to say, it seemed like a much better idea on paper than in execution, but it's good practice for the concert, I guess. So, Ghost have 6 studio albums in total here. They don't have a bad album, they don't have a bad record at all. As a matter of fact, every one of their albums is great, every album offers something different, but something has to be the default last, and I guess that would have to be Infestissumam, their sophomore record. Great second album here, Ghost, or Ghost BC, as they were known in America at this time. Definitely showed, a ton of growth in between Opus and their sophomore album here. This album is a lot more psychedelic than Opus, and, intentionally a lot less melodic as well. I'd say a lack of melodies on this record is very obvious, and I'm assuming very, intentional by the band, and I think a lot of the tracks on this record have, really become largely underrated over the years. Of course, you have Year Zero, the only song the band have consistently kept in their set list since, and thankfully they brought back Monstrance Clock on Skeletor. Can't wait to hear that live. From the few bootlegs I've heard, it still sounds amazing. It's a big crowd sing-along. But some other deep cuts, that I'm talking about include songs on here like Para Spera ad Inferi, Secular Haze, Goulet Zombie Queen is a masterpiece, Body and Blood is great, Monstrance Clock, like I said. So top to bottom here, this record is fantastic, and really those deeper cuts, I think, that make the album for me. Number 5 here on the list, let's go with Opus Eponymous from 2010, the band's debut album. Very much rooted, I'd say, in influences of Merciful Fate, kind of mixed with a 70s-esque vibe. This record has, that overlapping theme of impending doom, and far more serious record lyrically than, compared to how the band have evolved since. And in my opinion, the heaviest Ghost album as well. The riffs on here are gigantic. I love the melodies and the hooks, and, the album's sinister vibe as well is killer, especially on tracks here like Conclavi con Dio, Ritual, Elizabeth, Stand By Him, which I believe was the first Ghost song ever written, or at least the riff to that song was really what got the ball rolling for the band. Other standouts here include Death Knell, Prime Mover, and Genesis, great instrumental to close things out. At number 4, let's go with their newest album, Skeleta, released just about a month ago now, and this is the band's most recent record, like I said, released last month, and this was the holdup for doing this video, is I wasn't really sure where I was going to rank Skeleta amongst their catalog, because Ghost albums are growers, and this one took a while to, for me to fully formulate an opinion on, and I remember when I reviewed it, I purposely rated it a bit high, because I knew I would grow into it, and it's just a really fun record to listen to. I absolutely have grown into it. There's not a bad song on here. Very 80s vibe here, very much influenced, I hear influence at least of, Dokken, Journey, Europe as well, so that's really cool, and, this definitely feels like more of a Tobias Forge solo record, I think, than a Ghost album in terms of the introspective lyrics. I mean, when you first hear this album, it sounds like a fun record, but reading the lyrics, there's a lot of depth to it, so I really enjoy tracks on here like Peacefield, Lacrima, Satanized, Guiding Lights is a great ballad, very He Is-esque. Love to hear them do that live. De Profundis Borealis, Cenotaph, which when I did my review of this record, I said was my least favorite on the album. Well, it's funny how that works, because that was my favorite song on the record. I think reading the lyrics and really digesting that song helped me to appreciate it more. Some other standouts here, Missilia Amore, some people love it, some people hate it. I think it's a lot of fun, it's very catchy, a real earworm. Marks of the Evil One, another fun track. Umbra is as classic Ghost as you're going to get. And Excelsis, kind of like Life Eternal 2.0, really dig it to close out the record. So, just top to bottom here, another stellar album by the band. No doubt, Tobias Forge is getting a bit burnt out around this point, but still a killer studio album, and, the band continued to do great work, and continue their streak here of never making a bad record. So, coming in at number 4, I'm going to go with Skeleta, released just about a month ago from 2025. Top 3 now, let's go with Meliora. This was the band's breakthrough record, and in my opinion, the perfect blend of, early sinister Ghost mixed with, the more poppy, radio-friendly vibe that Tobias Forge would pursue going forward. And this is where Ghost really began to master the art of, the big melodies that would become a hallmark of the band's sound going forward. And a lot of the tracks on here are far more explosive and melodic than the first 2 records, and the improved production is definitely noticeable as well. This is the only full-length iconic studio album from the Papa 3 era, but Terzo lives on the Skeletor. I'm really glad the band are deciding to go heavier on the Meliora material this time around. Some standouts for me on this record include Spirit, From the Pinnacle to the Pit, Series, He Is, Mummy Dust, Majesty, Absolution, Deus in Absentia is awesome as well. So just top to bottom here, another stellar record. Ghosts don't have a lot of disappointing or, skippable tracks in their catalog, and this is an album that I think just top to bottom is full of bangers. Coming in at number 2 here, let's go with Prequelle from 2018. I'd say probably Ghost's most diverse record. It's obviously poppy, right, and heavy at the same time, but also a bit progressive at times as well. And, Tobias Ford is really taking chances in the studio on this record, seeing that he recorded most of it on his own. There's great variety on here. You have your mainstream radio hits like Dance Macabre and Rats. You have some excellent ballads like Life Eternal and Pro Memoria. Some killer rockers and deep cuts like Faith, See the Light, and possibly the most underrated Ghost song in their catalog, Witch Image, which I wish they would do live once again. You have two really great instrumentals here as well, right? You have Miasma with the Papa Nil saxophone solo, and Helvest Fonster, which leads directly into Life Eternal. This was the first album of the Copia era, and in my opinion, the easiest record in their catalog to listen to. Before I get to my number 1 here, I didn't want to rank the EPs with the studio albums because, the sizes of the track listings vary on the extended plays, and I didn't think it'd be fair to rank them, with full-length albums, but I figured I'd rank them separately real quick here. So coming in at number 4, we have A Few of Ghosts, produced by Dave Grohl, which, I always thought that was random. The dude really is everywhere. Number 3, going to go with Phantomime, great covers album, lots of really cool variety here, an array of artists covered, from Iron Maiden to Tina Turner, and more. Number 2, 7 Inches of Satanic Panic, the Lost Nil record from the 60s with Mariana Cross and Kiss the Go-Go. The updated version on streaming also has The Future is a Foreign Land. And number 1, gotta go with the Pope Star EP, which my copy comes with Meliora, right, with absolute essentials on here like Square Hammer, as well as covers like Missionary Man and Bible. And lastly, my number 1, I'm sure you guys figured out what it was going to be already, but my favorite Ghost album has to be Impera. Now, I know not a lot of people would have this ranked as high up on the list. This was around the time when, a lot of people felt that Ghost was getting too poppy or too commercial, and they definitely, doubled down on that from Prequelle. But I feel like everyone's favorite era of Ghost is, the era where they first started listening, regularly and became fans. And while I enjoyed Ghost up to this point, this is when I became a regular listener of the band. So there's a special place in my heart for Impera. So many massive hooks on this record and great lyrics by Tobias. And I remember the day this came out. I was a senior in high school, heard the album on the ride to school, which was a long ride. It was a few towns over, and just couldn't think of anything else for the rest of the day, right? So catchy, just stuck in my head all day, and, hard not to, with tracks on here like Kaisarian, Spillways, Call Me Little Sunshine, Hunter's Moon, Watcher in the Sky, 20s, which, some people love it, some people hate it. I really enjoy it. I think it's a lot of fun, a little bit unorthodox for the band as well. Also on here, Darkness at the Heart of My Love, great underrated ballad. Griftwood, very good deep cut here on this album, and then Respite on the Spitalfield to close things out. Fantastic guitar solo on that track, makes for an epic closer, and then of course it kind of circles back to the beginning of Imperium, so that's kind of cool. The album comes full circle, and just for me, does not get any better than this in the Ghost catalog. Again, the album that, really made me a fan back when I became a regular listener of Ghost, and so maybe I'm a bit biased, but I just love everything on here from top to bottom. So that wraps up this ranking here of the Ghost studio albums from worst to best. You can see my picks right over here. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel down below, turn on the bell for notifications so you don't miss a new upload, and let me know down in the comment section below what are your thoughts on my ranking and what are some of your favorite Ghost albums. I want to hear from you. And until next time, it's the CD guy, Johnny Z, signing off. Take care, everybody. I really need this to wash off.